Hi, ladies and gentlemen, this is Steve Harney. I'm the founder of Keeping Current Matters, and we're here this morning to take a look at what's taking place in the market right now and maybe one possible solution. Just before I came on to this webinar, the 10-year Treasury hit 5%. It came down a little bit off of that, but it bounced off of 5% this morning. And what does that mean? Well, that means that probably interest rates are going to remain high. You know, we know they're around that 8% number right now. And a term that I've been hearing that probably does apply for some point, some period of time right now, is higher for longer. So I think we have to just take grasp of the fact that we're not going back, well, probably never going back to 3% mortgage rates. But even if we were hoping to get back into the fives, that might be a little bit down the road. So what we need to do is not wait for that to happen, just sit in our hands and not do anything. Because there are a lot of people out there that are trying to get into the market and they realize that home ownership is important to them. But every day that goes by that people are frustrated that they can't do that causes people to start saying, well, is it really that important? There's a psychology term called rationalization, that if we don't get what we want, part of the ways we don't get depressed is we rationalize we never wanted it. And I'm a little bit nervous that right now, there might be people doing that, and we have some data to that point at this moment. So this webinar is about two things. Number one is very obviously transactions are down and you want to find other ways to do business. We want to fish where the fish are. Where are people buying houses? And let's start doing business there. But probably more importantly is the fact we want to help people. You know, that's why we came into the business. We don't make a dollar unless we help someone. And if we're looking to make a good income, that means we have to help a lot of people. All right, so let's figure out who are the people that need help right now and how we can help them. And on that point, I want to go ahead and start sharing the slides. Okay. What we're going to be talking about today is one answer to the affordability crisis. And ladies and gentlemen, there is an affordability crisis. I don't want you thinking there is not. It's kind of brutal what's taking place right now that so many people can't afford to buy a house. You know, we've come off a period of time that someone was ready and willing, you know, at 2%, 2.5%, 3% mortgage rates, most of them were able to go ahead and do that. At 8% rates, that's not necessarily the case. So what we need to do is really understand what's taking place and become great at this moment in time. This point in history is asking us to be great. So most agents know what's happening. Good agents understand what's happening. Great agents can explain what's happening. So let's talk about the affordability crisis and let's be really upfront about it. Let's not try to, you know, sugarcoat anything. It has gotten so bad that a whole generation is starting to think that maybe owning a home isn't a vital part of the American dream. Younger Americans were less likely to say financial success in the American dream meant owning a home. That's not good. That's not good for our country. That's not good for those people. We know, as a matter of fact, we'll cover this on next Monday's a deep dive. We know that homeowners, their net worth went up dramatically over the last 3 years, and we'll have slides and everything to show you that. Probably the best way for Americans to save and create that way is through home ownership. But right now we're seeing people saying, well, maybe that's not really that important to me. Gen Z is telling us that they can't buy into that American dream the way that their parents and grandparents thought about it because it's not attainable. There's an entire generation that feels like they're coming of age in sort of this fractured, divisive world where traditional systems no longer work for them. That came from a Harris poll. And to double down on that, a survey by Bankrate said Generation Z is quickly superseding millennials as the coming of age consumer group. However, as they reach young adulthood, this cohort, being born between 1997 and 2012, is beginning to confront a daunting fact. Their dream of homeownership might be tough to turn into reality anytime soon. So what are we saying right now? We're saying there's a whole group of people, and we're just talking about Gen Z right at this moment in time, but millennials, even people in other generations that are saying, I really want to buy a house right now, but I can't. I'm ready and willing, I'm just not able. And we have to figure out some solutions for those people, because that's what we do in the real estate community. That's what we do in the mortgage lending community. We find solutions for people that are looking to move forward in their lives. So, can multi-generational living be an answer? Now, this is what I need you to do, and this is going to sound a little bit funny, but the reason it's funny, it's a little bit true. It's important that we understand that if we are a boomer and we don't necessarily like our children, and we would never want to live with them, that doesn't mean that you have that bias get in the way of you helping other people that don't have that bias. And if you're that adult child that's saying, live with my parents, you have to be crazy. And there's definitely some of those people out there, all right? I don't want you to let that bias get in the way of understanding that there's a whole bunch of people that might not feel exactly the same way. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm not saying the parent doesn't love their children or the adult child doesn't love their parent. They just don't love them enough to live with them every single day of the year, all right? But let's talk about that. Is that feeling really dominant in our society? Choosing multi-gen living allows people to purchase a home much larger than they could afford on their own by leveraging the combined income, credit, and down payment of those that will be occupying the home. 28% of first-time buyers are choosing this as an option, as well as cost saving. All right, let's go over that again. 28% of first-time home buyers are choosing this as an option. Ladies and gentlemen, more and more people that are looking to purchase a home are saying, I can't do it on my own. How can I go ahead and figure out how we can get a couple of people in my family that are looking to purchase a home, put our assets together, all right, and say, all right, we can get something and move forward from there. Now, again, you might be saying, well, how does that really work? I have something I call the grandparent wish. Grandparents want to be near their grandchildren. The pandemic only made that a stronger feeling, because for some time, a year, 2 years, 3 years, dependent on the family, the grandparent was kept away from their grandchildren. The belief was that the child couldn't get COVID, but that it could spread COVID. So we told grandparents for a couple of years, don't go near your grandchildren. That longing to be with them has really caused more people to say, I don't want to spend any more time away from my grandkids. All right, so we're seeing people, and we'll talk about that in a second, we're seeing people move closer to their grandchildren just to fulfill that wish. So what are the major advantages to grandparents? Never underestimate the power of our grandchildren, especially when it comes to lifestyle and financial decisions. Recent data shows that many baby boomers are relocating further away from the home that they originally were in than they used to, so they can be closer to their grandbabies. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we're not talking about, well, this kind of makes sense, or thinking about the pandemic, this might be happening. There's actually evidence to say that it's happening. Okay. And some of that evidence is in the census. Percentage of all movers who are moving for family reasons has actually increased. Not increased dramatically, but has increased. So obviously the 2023 numbers are not there, but that's what's taking place. And who are these people that are moving? Well, who are these grandparents? I found this pretty interesting. 77% of sellers have no children living at home. This is the number of people living at home, the percentage of people who have, the percentage of sellers who have children living at home. 77% are empty nesters. Now let's think about them. Many of them have 3-4 bedroom colonial. They don't want to go up and down the stairs every day. They don't want to air condition it. They don't want to heat it. They don't want to do all the work around it. As they get older, those things become more strenuous to them. So they decide to sell. So there's no question that many of our sellers are just that. Grandparents that are saying, let me get out of here. And if we take a look at who's moving at least 100 miles by age group, we can see that the grandfather age group from 55 to 74 dominated these numbers. 58% between the ages of 55 and 64 moved more than 100 miles away from their original home. 56% between 65 and 74. Now, anecdotally, and you know I don't like anecdotal data, but anecdotally, I'm one of those people. I moved more than 100 miles away from my house to be closer to my grandchildren. At the time, it was one. And we always, grandparents on the side always tease. We don't trust our children to raise our grandchildren. We want to get involved. I'm sure my adult children say, you want to be a pain in the neck and, interrupt. All right. But in any case, what's happening is there are people doing just that. Now, there might be some people on the call saying, yeah, but maybe they moved 100 miles away because they're looking to retire and they want to be able to do that. All right. And I'm not arguing that's not the case. There are people moving from way up north down south to get away from the snow and the retirement. But if we look at the numbers, again, if we look at the stats, what we see is a vast majority, or I shouldn't say vast majority, but the largest majority want to move closer to friends and family. More than almost double, not more than almost double, moving due to retirement. Then we have the other reasons there. So it's not that they're moving more than 100 miles simply because they are retiring. The largest group are moving because they want to move closer to friends and family. The number of people 80 years of age or older is expected to more than double between 2022 and 2040, increasing from 13 million to 28 million. As the baby boomer generation ages into their 80s, starting slowly in the late 2020s and picking up speed in the 2030s, they will likely begin downsizing and selling their homes, putting more housing supply on the market. My argument is, should they be downsizing or should they be buying a house that can help their children get involved in home ownership right now? Now, we know that I believe the number is 38% of all first-time home buyers under the age of 30 get help from their parents as far as the down payment is concerned. What I'm saying is maybe we should switch the dynamic a little bit and at least offer the suggestion that maybe living together might make sense. All right, I apologize. The major advantages for adult children. For repeat buyers, they're making the multi-generational housing choice because 23% of them are caring for aging parents. So part of the reason that people are getting into multi-generational living is because they are already looking to take care of an elder parent. Well, that's a perfect multi-generational house. And what do we just say? More and more people are getting older and older. They're going to need that help. Another reason is there are hopeful home buyers turn relatives into roommates to save money. For home shoppers looking to move closer to family, roughly half cite giving help with childcare as a reason, and 44% of respondents are looking for a move closer to family to receive help with childcare for their own children. In line with this familiar poll, almost half of the respondents said that siblings have purchased or considered purchasing a home to be nearby. And 46% say parents have done or considered doing the same. All right, so let's make sure we understand this. We're talking about multi-generational housing. And we're saying, all right, what is the advantage to the grandparent? Well, they're with their family, they're with their children, they're with their grandchildren, and they can get some extra care. What's the advantage to the adult child that has children? Well, they get some, care for their children, built-in babysitter. Now, the question is, it sounds good. Well, if the parent moves in with the adult child and they have children, well, now the adult child can go away for the weekend and not worry about the kids because the grandparents will take care of the kids. And the grandparents can go away for a weekend and their adult children will take care of the pets because a lot of grandparents have pets. They can take care of the pets and they don't have to worry about that. And plus, they can help each other. And what's the advantage to the grandchildren? They learn more about what family is all about. Can it actually work? Ladies and gentlemen, it's already working. The circumstances over the past few years between the 2008 financial crisis and COVID-19 pandemic have changed the way families are buying homes. According to data from the National Association of Realtors, multi-generational buying rose to an all-time high in 2022, 14%. Compare that to 2021, when this option was at 11%. From 11 to 14%, it's about a 25% increase, a little more than a 25% increase in the number of people that are looking for multi-generational homes. In 2020, 6.1 million or 8.4% of children under the age of 18 lived in their grandparents' home, up from 5.8 million in 2010. What we're suggesting here is an answer to the affordability crisis, multi-generational homeowner. It's already taking place. Multi-generational living has increased among all age groups over the past 5 decades, but the increase has been fastest among adults ages 25 to 34. Well, that makes sense. They have children. They want to make sure that they have some help with the children. They want to help their parents out. And there's an affordability crisis. So what winds up taking place is more and more people are jumping into that. All right. So what we want to understand that this might be the answer, not just only to family challenges, but even more importantly, to an affordability situation. They can get involved in home ownership, be part owner of that home. And even the builders caught on. Builders are now developing multi-generational floor plans that include designs with 2 master suites, including main floor suites with kitchenettes. Many offer shared spaces for gatherings as the extended family, while also providing additional privacy when it's needed most. Some includes flex space that can shift from a family office to a nursery to give you the ability to adapt. Some include detached casitas, living options for even more privacy for your family. All right, so the builders are in on it, but more and more homeowners are doing it. We're seeing that, hey, listen, this kind of makes sense. But if we already know that a bunch of people are already doing it, how's it working? What do they feel about it? Well, just so happens that Pew Research just did a study on it. What's the percent who find living with adult family members to be most of the time? 58% said convenient. And that's what we've been talking about all along. We have help with the kids. The adult people have help with themselves and their pets and everything else. 58% find it convenient. More than half say, this is a good idea. 54% found it rewarding. Not just convenient, but rewarding. More than one out of 2, half think that, hey, you know what? This worked out for us really well. Now, I'm not saying it's for everyone. I'm not suggesting it's for everyone. 23% said it was stressful living with their adult child or their parents. But let's let them make that decision. We just want to give them some opportunities. And ladies and gentlemen, opportunities are abounding right now in a very, very big way. I want to talk for a second about ADUs. ADUs are accessory dwelling units. And what's taking place in the ADU market right now is part of the multi-generational home situation. So let's go over that. Having an accessory dwelling unit on an existing property has become a popular way for homeowners to offer independent living space to family members. So what we're talking about is you have your house and maybe there's a garage that you convert, maybe there's a back area that you convert, maybe there's a separate building that you're putting up. And yes, we'll talk about that in a second. What is an accessory dwelling unit? It's a small residence that shares a single family lot with a larger primary dwelling. An independent self-contained living space with kitchen or kitchenette, bathroom, and sleeping area. An ADU can be located within, attached to, or detached from the main residence. It can be created out of an existing structure, such as a garage, or built anew. Because an ADU exists on a single family lot as a secondary dwelling, it typically cannot be sold separately from the primary residence. And we'll talk about that in a second. And what's the source of this? The AARP. They're suggesting to the members that the members should think about this. And ladies and gentlemen, we're not leading the surge of this. We're not gathering the kindle to this idea. This idea, there's already a flame on this idea. What I'm suggesting to everyone here is to add fuel to that fire. It's gone from a small niche in the market to really a much more impactful part of new housing. Municipalities love it, existing homeowners love it, and developers love it. And ladies and gentlemen, the government is backing it up. The Federal Housing Administration just last week, just days ago, expanded the access to mortgage financing for homes that have or will include accessory dwelling units. If you're a loan officer on this deep dive, please make sure you dig into that. If you're a real estate agent on this, make sure you get in a loan officer that's digging into this. This is big. This new policy will enable more first-time homebuyers, seniors, and intergenerational families to leverage the power of ADUs to enhance the generational wealth building potential of home ownership. Let's read that again. This new policy will enable more first-time homebuyers, seniors, and intergenerational families to leverage the power of ADUs to enhance the generational wealth building potential of home ownership. You know how much I believe in the value of home ownership from a financial and non-financial standpoint. But building wealth in this country, the vast majority of wealth of almost everyone in this country is the wealth in their home. And what this is doing, multi-generational, and the government backing ADUs, financing aid, making it easy to finance ADUs, is like crazy. All right? This is a fire that's going to rage. We have to jump into the middle of it. What I would compare this to is back in 2008, 2009, people were getting foreclosed on. And there were some agents that already had, ties with the banks, and they would, they did business selling foreclosures. But then a group of agents said, you know what? We have to help these people avoid the foreclosure because, it's embarrassing. To some degree, they felt shamed when the sheriff knocked on the door and told them they had to move out with their stuff at that moment. And we jumped into short sales, and we became very, very good at short sales. And we helped all those families and avoid the trauma that child would have instead of getting 5 minutes notice that they had to pack up their stuff and leave. The homeowner could go ahead, the parents could go ahead and put it on the timetable like as though they sold the house. And the other advantage was, instead of waiting 5 years to be able to get another house, they only had to wait 2 or maybe 3 years to get it, because of foreclosure, it was much longer. It took much longer after foreclosure to be creditworthy than it did after a short sale. And so many agents helped those families move back into a house that they owned a couple of years later. We took a very challenging situation as an industry and helped families. Same thing here. The affordability crisis is a very challenging situation. This could be one of those answers. Under AB 1030, which was signed into law this week, property owners in participating cities will be able to construct an ADU on their land and sell it separately, following the same rules that apply to condominiums. So this is the Los Angeles Times announcing a state law saying, if you put up an ADU, you can sell it separately. Now, people's heads are blowing up on this call. I know that. Well, what about the title? What about this? What about, do we have to have a separate survey? Ladies and gentlemen, this is what the state has decided is going to happen. Like a lot of legislation, they didn't think, they were playing checkers, making sure that we got it done. They didn't think of some of the ramifications. We don't have all the answers to this. So I'm not putting this up here saying that everybody in California should go ahead and say, hey, listen, let's build an ADU because the state allows it. What I'm saying is that's the way the market is moving. There's more and more people realizing the value. There's more and more people realizing that home affordability for a homeowner, a potential first-time home buyer, or from a tenant. The affordability issue is real, and they realize this is one of the opportunities. And in a significant policy change, different than the last one I just mentioned, Fannie Mae has announced that it will accept 5% down payments for owner-occupied 2, 3, and 4 unit homes. This marks a departure from the previous multifamily financing requirement of 15 to 25% down. Ladies and gentlemen, they just decided that if you want to buy a duplex, let's think about what we're talking about here, multi-generational homeownership. If you want to buy a 2-family, the down payment just went from 15 to 25% to 5% down. Again, builders, the government, everyone is saying, wait a second, we have to do something about this affordability crisis. And I'm telling you, these are opportunities for us. And not just opportunities to do more transaction. Definitely it's that. But remember, We can't do a transaction unless we help a family. So let's forget about the money. Let's just think about who is out there that really wants to be a homeowner, but can't. And let's give them different options, just like we had to explain short sales to people. Let's give them that option. And not everyone's going to take it. I get that. And that's okay. But this is what we do know. More and more and more people are taking that option. Let's jump on that. For their sakes and ours. Having a good multi-generational property can improve the prospects of success when living with loved ones. A multi-generational home should fit the specific needs of most family members, regardless of age or health. Speaking to a real estate agent can help you gain clarity and locate a fit. Ladies and gentlemen, there are writers, financial advisors out there right now telling people one of the things you should consider is multi-generational home buying. And they're telling them to go talk to you. We have to make sure we're ready for that conversation. Triangle Business Journal. If you're interested in multi-generational housing for your next move, you may want to consider talking to a trusted agent and a local lending company to find out how combined finances can help you get the right home for your needs. Newspapers, the Business Journal, are telling their readers multi-generational home ownership might be the answer for you. Look into it. And they're sending them to us. Whether we're an agent or whether we're a loan officer, they're telling them to come to us for the answers. And my fear is there's so many agents and loan officers that didn't even know that was a question. Never mind, did they have the answer? Let's get on top of that. I think we can drive a tremendous surge in multi-generational homeowning. And it's not going to take anything away from anything else we're doing, because we're helping people that couldn't afford a house anyway in many, many cases. And what else is it doing? If the parent, the empty nester, decides to buy a two-family or some sort of home with an ADU with their an adult child, guess what that frees up? Their listing. This is a tremendous opportunity, an opportunity we can't pass. Is it the answer for everyone? Absolutely not. I am not saying that. But we know already, we know two things. It was the answer for 14% of all buyers last year. And that number is growing. And the financing just got easier. And the builders are building. Let's not lament that we didn't know this was happening and we missed that opportunity. Let's jump all over that opportunity. Let's get out there instead of just waiting for the financial planners and the newspapers telling homeowners and first-time home buyers about it. Let's jump all over it. Anyone that's in KCM, we actually put together how multi-generational homes can help cut costs. We did a whole Real Talk, which is a video. We believe very strongly here at KCM that videos are crucial. That's what people like to do. They like to see you. They like to see your personality. They like to hear you telling them what's going on. And that's what we do. We don't give you the video. We give you the script. We give you everything you need for you to make a video so you're talking directly to your customer. And this is an issue you have to talk directly to your customer about. All right, coming out of time right now because I want to respect the fact that you gave me a half hour of your life right now. All right, next week we're going to talk about how does homeownership really impact a family's net worth. We have a lot of data on this. You're going to love this particular deep dive. It's very, very in a market that's, it's really rough. There's a lot of positive news coming next week, a lot of positive news coming next week. So make sure you jump all over that. Now, that being said, I want to take the last minute to say this. Things are tough right now. I don't think they're going to get easier anytime soon. So what's going to wind up taking place is the best agents, the top agents, the great agents are going to be the ones who survive the next couple of months. If that's what you want to be, then do what's required to be that. Let's make sure that we know where the opportunities are. Let's not fish in a fishing hole that no longer has any fish. Let's go to the fishing hole that's packed with fish. Let's identify those opportunities and let's be very aggressive about diving into them. Crucially important. Over the next couple of months, next couple of weeks, what we're going to do is identify certain opportunities that will help you build your business by helping other people, by helping buyers and sellers. And some of these opportunities didn't exist 2 years ago. And some of the opportunities that existed 2 years ago don't exist today. We have to make that change. We have to evolve right now with the market, and we have to almost make that evolution a revolution. We have to do it quickly. This is one opportunity for you to do that. Again, jump into it. Find out more about multi-generational home ownership. Talk to a loan officer that understands the new programs that just came out. And as a loan officer, talk to agents about the programs that came out, so they can intelligently have that initial conversation with people that they're talking to. Make the video. Get it out there on social media. Make phone calls. Here's a subject you can talk to people about that some are interested in and some don't even realize exists. But if they did, they might jump in. That's on you. As I said at the end of every deep dive, you just gave me a half hour of your life. I just pray to God that I gave you a good return on that investment. Appreciate your time. Looking forward to seeing you next Monday. Bye now.